All right, I'm going to go over the results of a survey we did around high performance teams for the Create Code Review backend team. So mid-May, I asked the team to fill out a survey about high performing teams. This came out of some work we did in the Manager Challenge group. Survey and more information about this is in the handbook. 5 team members, all 5 filled out the survey, and I really appreciate that because it gave me a good sense of how the team felt about these different topics. I won't read all this, but all of this information comes from the handbook. It's in the handbook. The survey was in the handbook. I just made a copy of it. So there's some ideas here of what makes a high performing team at GitLab. And that's kind of our goal, and that's what we're shooting for. To do this, we kind of use this model that has these different stages, and it's kind of you go in a circle. As you grow, you should be moving through the circle as a team or through the stages. And so I'll talk about kind of how we fit into each one. So let's talk about the results. So overall, the team scored things very well. I kind of color coded these. So if the average score for all the questions for that section was 4 or more, then I made it green. And if it was 3 or more, I put it yellow, and nothing was lower than that. So in general, we had fairly high response, and I appreciate the honest feedback people gave. So I'm gonna go through each stage quickly and just talk about kind of where we saw. So for the first 2 stages, these are really the kind of foundation of a team, kind of why are we here, who we are. Team scored these very highly. There's still areas for improvement here, but I think there's a few things later on that we can focus on to start with. So starting with stage 3, still high score, but it's slightly lower than other average scores. So I think there's a couple areas that were highlighted from the survey that we can do better. So first one is collectively setting long-term goals for the team. We want to make sure these are documented and we keep them updated. And then along with that is think about how everyone can contribute to these goals. So we can talk about that during our one-on-ones and how we can set individual goals to align with that. Stage 4 is kind of how we operate, and we did very well here. I think the one area that I called out is that we can be a little more clear on how decisions are made. So this is, to me, I think of adding things to the handbook to be very clear about how we are planning, how we are making decisions, and making sure that's just laid out and clear in the handbook. So stage 5, this is kind of where I think we're close to around here is kind of where we are as a team. So there were some responses around hitting deadlines and planning work that gets to the main idea of this stage, which is kind of who does the work, kind of when do we do it, where do we do it. This really is kind of the nuts and bolts of how we do it. So some ideas that we can improve here is make sure we're documenting and communicating our metrics and our targets, what we're going for. And so that's as a team, and then also as an individual, and holding each other and people accountable for meeting these expectations and targets. Stage 6, this is the high performing team. So we're really close to being here. Maybe we are here. There is one area from this part of the survey that I think we can improve on, is really understanding what each other is working on and then supporting each other and helping each other out. Another part of being a high performing team is reflecting on our status. So I'll probably do this survey again, and we have good participation. We should continue good participation in retrospectives to provide feedback to each other. And then the last stage in here is really a reminder to go back and reflect on all of the stages, which is kind of why we were doing this survey in the first place. The biggest area for improvement here was that we don't revisit our purpose and think about it. I think this is related to what I had in stage 3 about clarifying our goals And I think if we start with that, that will help here too. So just, I won't read all of them, but here is kind of the list that I came up with. I'll be using this to help drive some decisions and some improvements that I'm hoping we can make as a team. And then I just want to say, to wrap it up, that this team is a great team, and the survey responses showed this. I really appreciate the time you spent on it. I think with just a few improvements, we can just be even better. I think we can be on this road to constantly improve. So I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited to be working with you. So thank you. And as always, just let me know if you have any questions.